Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. There are films that feel ahead of their time, and then there are films that feel like they have somehow seen the future with terrifying clarity. Network is one of those rare films. Watching it today, it doesn't feel like a relic of the 1970s. It, in fact, feels like a mirror held up to the modern media landscape. Directed by Sidney Lumet and written by Paddy Chevsky, Network tells the story of a television network that discovers something dangerous yet irresistible, outrage, which actually sells. At the center of the film is Howard Bell, played by Peter Finch, a veteran news anchor whose declining ratings lead to his dismissal. In a moment of emotional breakdown, Bell announces on live television that he plans to take his own life during a broadcast. Instead of removing him from the air, the network executives see something else, which is an opportunity. Now, what follows is one of the most iconic transformations in cinema. Bale evolves from a respected journalist into the network brand as a mad prophet of the airwaves. His emotional outbursts, particularly the famous "I'm as mad as hell" and "I'm not going to take this anymore" speech, becomes a national sensation. Now, that moment alone has lived far beyond the film, but what makes it powerful is not just the delivery, it's the context. Bale's anger resonates because it taps into something universal. He isn't just speaking for himself, he becomes a voice of a frustrated public. But the film doesn't celebrate this transformation, in fact, it critiques it. Because what Network reveals is that the system doesn't really care about the truth, it cares about ratings. Faye Dunaway's character, Diana Christensen, represents this shift perfectly. As a programming executive, she is ambitious, calculating, and completely focused on audience engagement. To her, Bill's breakdown is not a tragedy, in fact, it's an content. Now, she embodies a media culture that prioritizes spectacle over substance. William Holden's Max Schumacher provides a contrasting perspective. As an older, more traditional news executive, he represents a fading era of journalism, one that valued integrity over entertainment. His relationship with Diana becomes symbolic of the larger conflict within the film, which is truth versus profit. One of the most striking elements of Network is its dialogue. Paddy Chevsky's script is dense, sharp, and unapologetically direct. Characters speak in long, passionate monologues that feel almost theatrical, yet incredibly precise. Now, there's a particular scene where a corporate executive delivers a speech about the nature of global economics and power. It's delivered with calm authority, but the content is still very chilling. That speech reframes that the world not as a collection of nations, but a system of corporations and capital flows. It's one of those film's most powerful moments, and it feels even more relevant today. What makes Network so effective is how it blends satire with reality. At times, the film feels exaggerated, almost absurd, but that exaggeration serves a purpose. It pushes the audience to recognize the underlying truth, and that truth is uncomfortable. The film suggests that media doesn't just reflect reality, in fact, it shapes it. It turns individuals into narratives, emotions into products, and the truth is something negotiable. From a performance standpoint, the film is exceptional. Peter Finch's portrayal of Howard Bale is intense, unpredictable, and deeply very human. In fact, it's a performance that captures both vulnerability and madness, earning him a posthumous Academy Award. Faye Dunaway's performance is equally compelling. She doesn't play Diana as a villain, but as someone completely aligned with the system she operates in. That makes her character even more unsettling. William Holden actually brings emotional weight to the film, grounding it in a sense of loss. His character understands what is happening, but also recognizes that he can't really stop it. In terms of direction, Sidney Lumet keeps the film focused and controlled. There are no unnecessary visual flourishes. The camera often stays still, allowing the performances and dialogues to take the center stage. Now, this restraint gives the film a sense of realism, even when the events themselves become extreme. When Network was released in 1976, it was both a critical and commercial success. It earned multiple Academy Awards and was praised for its bold storytelling and a sharp critique of the media industry. But what truly remarkable is how the film has actually aged. In today's world of viral content, social media outrage, and 24-hour news cycle, Network feels less like a satire and more like a prophecy. The idea that emotional extremes drive engagement, the media organizations chase attention at any cost, and that truth can be overshadowed by spectacle. All of these actually feels incredibly current. If anything, the film's message feels even more urgent now than it did at the time of its release. There are, of course, moments where the film's theatrical style maybe feel a bit outdated to modern audiences. Now that long monologues, the heightened performances, and the pacing may not really align with contemporary storytelling trends. Now, these elements are also which actually gives the film its unique identity. Network doesn't really try to be subtle. In fact, it confronts the audience directly, forcing them to engage with its ideas. And that's what makes it enduring. In conclusion, Network is not just a film about television. In fact, it's a film about power, control, and the commodification of human emotion. It asks a simple but profound question. When everything becomes entertainment, what really happens to truth? Interestingly, decades later, the answer feels clearer and more unsettling than ever. Now, this movie is a must watch.